Have you ever heard a sound you couldn't explain, something that shouldn't exist? This is the story of a sound that changed my life forever, a sound that came from a forgotten well deep in the woods. If you're hearing this now, consider it a warning. Don't go looking for things you're not prepared to find. It started a few years ago when I moved to a small rural town in upstate New York. I'd just started a new job and rented an old house at the edge of the forest. The locals were friendly, but there was an unspoken rule about the woods. They weren't forbidden exactly, but people avoided them. If I brought it up, they'd change the subject or give me a strange look. I didn't think much of it at first. I liked hiking, and the forest seemed peaceful enough. One weekend, I decided to explore. I packed a bag with water, snacks, and a flashlight just in case. The air was crisp, the kind of autumn chill that feels refreshing, and the forest floor was carpeted with orange and yellow leaves. The first few hours were uneventful. The trees were tall and ancient, their twisted branches forming a canopy overhead. Birds chirped, and squirrels darted across my path. But as I ventured deeper, the forest grew quieter. The air felt heavier, and the ground beneath my boots became damp and uneven. That's when I saw it. A stone well, hidden among the undergrowth. Its structure was old, the stones covered in moss and ivy, and the wooden cover lay shattered on the ground. The well's opening was dark, a gaping void that seemed to swallow light. Something about it felt wrong, but I couldn't explain why. As I approached, I heard it, a faint, rhythmic tapping like someone knocking on wood. The sound echoed from deep within the well. My first thought was that it must be an animal, maybe a bird or a raccoon trapped inside. I leaned over the edge, my flashlight cutting through the darkness, but I couldn't see the bottom. The sound stopped abruptly. That night, I couldn't get the well out of my head. It felt like the memory of it was alive, pulsing in the back of my mind. I barely slept, my dreams filled with shadows and the faint echo of tapping. When I woke up, I convinced myself it was nothing, just my imagination playing tricks on me. But the next day, the tapping followed me. I heard it faintly at work in the hum of the air conditioner. I heard it in my car in the steady rhythm of the windshield wipers. And that night, as I lay in bed, I heard it again, coming from the direction of the forest. I knew I shouldn't go back. Every instinct screamed at me to stay away, but I had to know. The next morning, I packed a rope and returned to the forest. The air felt colder this time, and the silence was oppressive. When I reached the well, the tapping was louder, more insistent. I tied the rope to a sturdy tree nearby and secured it around my waist. Slowly, I descended into the darkness. The smell hit me first. Damp earth mixed with something metallic, like rusted iron. As I went deeper, the tapping grew louder, but it wasn't random anymore. It was rhythmic, deliberate, like a signal. At the bottom of the well, my flashlight illuminated a small tunnel. It looked like it had been dug by hand, the walls uneven and clawed at. The tapping was coming from the tunnel. Against my better judgment, I crawled inside. The space was tight, the air stale. My flashlight flickered, but I pressed on. After what felt like an eternity, I reached a small chamber. The tapping stopped. In the center of the chamber was a wooden box, its surface carved with strange symbols I didn't recognize. The air around it felt electric, vibrating with an energy I couldn't explain. I should have left it alone. I should have turned around and climbed back out of that well. But I didn't. I opened the box. Inside was a mirror, its surface cracked and blackened. As I stared into it, the air grew colder. My reflection stared back, but it wasn't me. The eyes were wrong, too bright, too knowing. My reflection smiled, and then it spoke. "You shouldn't have come here." I scrambled backward, my heart pounding. The mirror began to glow, and from its surface a shadow emerged. It moved unnaturally, its limbs too long, its face blank. The chamber filled with a low, guttural hum that vibrated through my bones. I turned and ran, the tunnel seeming to stretch endlessly before me. When I finally emerged from the well, the forest was alive with sound. Branches snapping, leaves rustling, whispers carried on the wind. The shadow had followed me, its form darting between the trees. I didn't stop running until I reached my car. As I drove away, the tapping followed me. It was in the hum of my tires, the rhythm of the rain on my windshield. Even now, as I sit in my apartment miles away from that forest, I hear it. The box, the mirror, the shadow. I don't know what they were, but I know one thing. They're not done with me. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more chilling tales. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a new upload. Got a story suggestion? Leave it in the comments below. See you in the next nightmare.